Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us, however you're getting us on radio or the stream or on the podcast or the video, however, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Please subscribe to all of our stuff. You know, we're doing the thing on TikTok too, and it's fun over there. I like playing around with that. It's just try different things, everybody. Just get out there and try things. I see more and more older people doing the TikTok thing, and I swear to God, I was going to avoid that like the plague about 3 years ago. I'm glad I did not. Last week, really good, really solid. If you didn't get this one, Opioid-Free America, the 5 W's with Doc Matt McCord, Doug Geinzer, and Mike Vasquez. This team of guys, just some really just awesome cats, putting together this Opioid-Free America program. And Dr. McCord was my anesthesiologist for the first knee. And so he's the doc on that team. And these guys are data experts and business guys, and they are big. And so that's a really good show. I hope you check it out, because this Opioid-Free America, we need to be more educated on this stuff. I think something like 75 or 80% of the opioids in the world are used in the United States. It's just absurd. Today, first show, this is just to tell you, this is my first recording session, 426. Thank you, everyone, for listening. So we went to the bullpen and made one text message, and about 3 seconds later, I got a response back and was like, yep, there she is, Danielle Radin. She's awesome. She's the bomb. She's been on the show once before. She's the narcissism expert. That one clip that we have on our TikTok for her, just one piece of the show, has like 50,000 views on it. Not too shabby. I'm going to call this one a little long title, but I'm going right with Danielle. Mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. I had to go with the whole thing, everybody, because it's just like Danielle is just, she's awesome. And she gives me all this good topic. Danielle Radin is an Emmy award-winning journalist, 9-time author, and certified domestic violence counselor. She's the bomb. She's the founder of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center, which offers low-cost counseling. And you know what? If you need counseling with narcissistic personality disorder, with someone in your life or something, or if you're involved with this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter what it costs. You just need to get fixed and you need to get out. That's what it's all about. And that's what Danielle will do. So low cost, high cost, who cares what cost? As long as you get better and you separate from, and you understand, at least understanding what the heck you're dealing with. Because it's so, I have no idea until we talked last year and I read her book. She is huge in educational materials, awareness online to help people leave abusive relationships. You should never be in an abusive relationship, ever. I don't care. Any type of abuse, verbal, physical, mental, sucks. She's coached thousands of people all over the world to live healthier and happier lives. I will put the link to her stuff in the recap like we always do. I want to welcome back to the radio program my friend joining us from California, Danielle Radin. Danielle, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be back. You asked some very amazing, intriguing questions the first time around. Really made me think. So
let's try and do the same thing. Yeah. You sent me some good points here today. We're going to build off of your my notes from last time, Danielle, which was called Navigating Narcissists. Everybody, if you want to go back and get that episode, go for it. It's up on the website, or it's on YouTube or wherever you'll find it. Navigating Narcissists, Danielle Radin, put my name in there. But the power struggle, the Gabby Petito trial, all of those things, it was very, very interesting. Mental health in the new year, though, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. This is a little bit larger topic here. But before we go there, we're going to do This Is Your Life. Danielle, first one, I want to ask you about your sister's wedding, because I saw the pictures on your social media. It looked fantastic, looked so much fun. Talk about your sister's wedding, how happy you are for them, and everything else. Go right ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. My sister got married, and it was out in Montana. That's where her husband is from. So we got the whole family, all the Radins out there, his side of the family, and we all got along really well right off the bat. It was a beautiful day. Rained the day before and the day after. And the day of the wedding, perfectly sunny. It was beautiful. And we just had such an incredible time out there in Montana. It's so gorgeous. I couldn't believe it. And we saw Glacier National Park, which I think is one of the most beautiful national parks. And it was just a day filled with family and love.
That's fantastic. You seem to have a lot of good friends, and I see your stories. It's not always so dark. We were just talking about this pre-show, everybody. But it's, Danielle's a fun person. She likes her food, and she likes to go out with her friends and her restaurants and stuff. Talk about what's been happening in your life. How's your business doing? I'm sure you're thriving quite well.
Well, narcissists love to ruin the holidays. So it was very busy during Christmas and New Year's. There were a lot of crises happening as far as narcissistic abuse recovery. And but it's been really good. I'm looking forward to the new year. I have some travel planned. Got to go out to Berlin in the springs. Got a movie that I'm working on with Dr. Romani, who's also in this space. It's a feature-length 90-minute film that's going to premiere out there. And so there's a lot of good things happening. And then, certainly with downtime, trying all the different restaurants here in Los Angeles, spending time with friends and family. Very important to have things that are fulfilling outside of work, as you know.
Of course. I mean, and the movie thing sounds so exciting. I got to ask you, though. I was going to ask you about how you got into this, because we talked about this in the first episode where Danielle's her interesting story with being a television reporter and all this stuff. But I have to ask you, because you just brought it up, why do narcissists ruin holidays? What is the deal?
Well, they're addicted to attention, and any attention is good attention to a narcissist, whether it's good or bad. And so if you have your birthday, if you have a Christmas celebration and it's not all about them, they can't stand that. They need to make it all about them. And so they will create drama, ruin the day, blow up, similar to a toddler having a tantrum. And time again, if you've ever been with a narcissistic person, they will ruin holidays or they will ruin vacations, because on a vacation, you're trapped and you can't go anywhere, right? So this is something that is just pretty textbook for a narcissist to do. And sometimes expecting that that's going to be the case takes away half the power of it.
Okay, here's where we're going to go today, everybody. I've got so many questions for Danielle, but I want to stay a little bit on my little bullet points that she sent over. And I'm going to rearrange these a little bit, Danielle, just so you know. But how to spot a narcissist. Why do narcissists talk to you in the first place? Curious about that. Is there a way to avoid them? These are all topics we're going to cover today, everybody. What is a boundary? This is a thing about boundaries and understanding, what the heck is it? Can you give me a quick 30-second definition of a boundary for people, Danielle, just so they can kind of have an idea where we're going to go?
A boundary is just a preservation of your most precious resource, which is your time. It allows you to say, I'm not engaging in this argument anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm preserving my time so that I can spend it doing things that are healthier than what you want me to do.
There you go. Okay. So a boundary is something where you establish and you stick with it, everybody. And these are really important to understand when we're dealing with people with NPD or any of the other personality cluster disorders that are out there that Danielle can talk about, because they're all similar in a way, and we can talk about those too. How to talk to narcissists when you have to. And there's a thing called the gray rock method, and Danielle will define that for us, and we'll talk about that and how you can, because you may have to be co-parenting with a narcissist. You may have a parent that's a narcissist. You may have a sibling that's a narcissist. Hard to say. We'll talk about all these things. There are other methods, the yellow rock, the agree rock. These are all, I was going to say fun things. They're not really fun, but they're strategies and they're tactics for going there. Danielle, give me 30 seconds about how you feel about today's episode and where you want to take this thing.
I think that in 2026, we should all strive to live a narcissist-free life. It is a lot better that way. And it's easy to do that. If you do have to deal with a narcissist in your life, they don't have to be a wildfire in front of you. They can just be a little annoyance in your life. And you do that in a very specific way. There's a certain way to talk to people with a cluster B personality disorder, which is what narcissism falls under.
And we will talk about all of those things. Danielle Radin's our guest today. I'm going to reset this thing. Everybody got a little bit of a long title. Danielle Radin is expert in narcissism. She's a big-time winning journalist. We're calling this one Mental Health in the New Year, How to Preserve Your Energy from Toxic People. Do you have toxic people in your life? Do you want to know how to deal with them? Stick around. We'll be right back with Danielle Radin.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you to Sandy for bringing us back, and Mitch and Vanessa for all the production work that you do behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. Appreciate all of you. Love you guys so much, especially Sandy. Segment is sponsored by Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Can't wait to talk to him. Be talking to him tomorrow, actually. Call Brock today. Here's a couple phone numbers coming at you. This one is the office number, 853-517-853-6408. This is a super secret, not so super secret cell phone number of Brock. I'm going to say this twice, 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262. You can go online to kwsellingteam.com. You can go to my website, tommattshow.com. At the bottom of the homepage is Brock's link to his very, very, very nice website. So go over there, sell your home without hassles like we did. You guys have heard the story from me many, many, many times. Brock's been on the show 20, 30 times. I don't even know how many times, years now. And we talk about how they helped us sell Big House Hold, our forever home that we never thought we'd leave, which we did, which happens a lot, apparently. Finding Little House Lansing, thanks to Mikey Deadman. Mikey, you're the bomb. Love you guys. And making it your own. And so that's the thing with life. Life changes, and we got to deal with it. And if you have toxic people in your life, like our top part of our topic today in our life, maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to call Brock because you never know. You might get a toxic neighbor someday. I've had a few of those, but Brock is the best, and I hope you can go there. And I also want to say, again, thank you to Joan Wright. She's a fan of the show. She's a customer of Brock's, and she listens to us on Michigan State University, WKR, on Sunday afternoons. And I want to say, what up, Joan? How are you? Someday we'll have lunch or coffee or something. I'll come out and see you in Williamston. How's that sound? Send me an email. Just send me an email. Go to our contact box on the website. That's the easiest thing. Go to tommattshow.com, Joan, and send me a note. It's the easiest thing to do. Danielle Radin's here, calling this one mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. All right, so in your notes, Danielle, I'm going to go with the last bullet first. I don't know if that's a good ploy, a good thought, but I'm just going to try it. Your last point you had on here was how to spot a narcissist. Before we get into defining and all of that kind of stuff and talking to people about keeping that toxic people or how to communicate with them, in your definition, take as much time as you need here. How do you spot a narcissist? How do you do that?
Once you know what you're looking for, it gets easier and easier. Narcissistic personality disorder is classified by 9 traits. The person needs 5 out of the 9 traits to be clinically diagnosed. But a lot of people can have narcissistic tendencies, which can also ruin your life. So we're talking about things like a superiority complex, an overinflated ego, delusions of grandeur, right? They're going to be Brad Pitt, but they've never taken an acting lesson. We're talking about arrogance, a lack of empathy, a gross sense of entitlement. You give them $100 and they say, why didn't you give me $200? So essentially you're talking about a very selfish person who cannot empathize with you. Because they have a lack of empathy, that makes them very transactional people. That means they're never talking to you unless they're getting something out of you. That could be something short term, or they could be in it for the long game. And so the easiest way to spot a narcissist immediately is to start to assess, what is this person trying to get out of me? This feels more like a transaction than a genuine connection, right? So they will try to take your time, energy, attention, money, stuff. They might use you for the connections that you have, whatever it is. They're not talking to you unless they're getting something out of you. On top of that, they will love bomb you right away to build a false sense of intimacy quickly. And so the easiest way to spot a narcissist as time goes on is to see, does this person's actions line up with their words? If you are dating them, for example, and they're telling you after the 3rd date, you're my soulmate, and then, they're treating you worse and worse, and you can't get a hold of them on the weekends, and they suddenly disappear from your life, and then they're back, those actions are not lining up with the words. If they tell you we're going to go on a vacation because they're love bombing you, and then you never go on the vacation, action's not lining up with the words. So they will talk a big game. They will future fake you. They will kind of steamroll into your life. You know, if you're surfing the wave, they're like a tsunami into your life. And before you know it, you're toppling and you're drowning.
What do you think? Excuse me for a second. Danielle Radin's our guest today, everybody. We're talking about mental health and toxic people in your energy, and she's our narcissism expert. What do you think about narcissists being more like a parasite, that they just come in and they just extract whatever they need and then dispose of whatever? Is that a good way of looking at it, or no?
The way that they are programmed to take and take and take until you have nothing left to give is very parasitic. They are very parasitic people. If you give them your car to use for a week, they'll try to use it for a month. If you let them sleep on your couch for a day, they'll try to stay in your house for the year. So they do land on you, suck the energy out of you, and then buzz off to the next person like a mosquito.
And they'll always have some kind of stash, because if you're starting to go through that, give us that 4 phases again, because we got a couple of minutes before we go to break. The 4 phases between the love bombing. Go ahead, share that, because this is what will happen, everybody. It's a playbook. It's a playbook. I've read so much about this, and everybody, all the comments I see, Danielle, they're always the same. What are those 4? The trajectory of a narcissistic relationship.
There are 4 phases of a narcissistic relationship that will always play out. The love bombing, like I mentioned, you get about 1 to 3 months of that, maybe 6 months if you're in a long distance relationship. But even if you're not in a romantic relationship, they will still love bomb you. After that, it's an automatic devaluation stage where they're treating you worse and worse. They're giving you less and less attention. All of a sudden, you can't get a hold of them. They're stonewalling you. They're gaslighting you. Maybe they're calling you names a bit more. Maybe they're giving you the silent treatment, whatever it is. They're just, no matter what you do to try to get back in their good graces, the thing's just going downhill. It's a one-way ticket to stage number 3, which is the discard phase. That's when they cheat on you or break up with you out of nowhere and they throw you away like a piece of garbage. It's not a normal breakup. In a normal breakup, there's a conversation, there's closure. Hey, we're just not working out, all the best to you. This is a discard. And the person is very, very confused. Or they act so atrociously that they force a reverse discard where you have to break up with them even though you don't really want to. Like you can't get a hold of them for a week or something. The 4th and final phase is the Hoover phase. That's when they try to get you back. They throw out little baits for your attention. They might, quote unquote, pocket dial you by accident. They might wish you a happy new year. They might get their friends to reach out to you. They're trying to get you back into the cycle, and if it's successful, they'll love bomb, devalue, discard, Hoover, and around it'll go.
And that's the merry-go-round, everybody, the carousel of narcissism. Danielle Radin's here. Mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy. Danielle's here. We'll be right back.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. This week's episode with Danielle Radin, mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. This segment, like our previous segment, is sponsored by Brock, because Brock helps us tremendously and we appreciate him very, very much. Please use him for your real estate needs, as we have done. He's the most trustworthy guy out there. His whole staff is phenomenal. Like 20, 30 shows on our website. Please go there. I love doing these reviews. These are just off the cuff reviews that I find. This is for Brock, actually. Had no idea this was coming. Sold a single family home in 2025 in Vermontville, Michigan. Good old Vermontville. Brock always does an outstanding job with helping us sell a residence. We have used his services 3 times. You know, when people go back and use your service over and over and over, there's a reason. These people have used Brock 3 times already and will call him again if they decide to sell this house. His expertise and knowledge are unsurpassed. I love it. Unsurpassed. That's Brock. He explained everything to us in detail and recommended a selling price that actually was realistic. His attitude and tenacity will help you sell any house. He is the best realtor we've ever worked with. Thanks, Brock. That was from Kay Vanderband from Vermontville for Brock Fletcher. And I just have to tell you, we support Brock so much. He just, because of what he did to help our family, before he even sponsored it, way before he sponsored us, he was giving me advice, unsolicited free advice, and it was great advice. It's like talking to my guest today, my friend today, Danielle Radin. She's going to give us good advice. You want to take this advice from these experts and you want to just think about them. Think about what they're saying, then make a decision and make a good choice. That's all there is. So Brock, remember, get a hold of Brock, 517, this is the cell phone number, 517-303-3262. Text him, leave him a voicemail. He will definitely return your call. Danielle Radin's back with us today for our first episode recording session in 2026. Perfect person to have here because she's helping us understand how to preserve your energy from toxic people because she's a narcissism expert. I got to ask you before we get back in the points again, but Danielle, it seems like, is it that there's just more narcissists in the world, or that people are just more aware because you guys have kind of cracked open this Humpty Dumpty egg thing? And I'm not quite sure, but it certainly seems, I mean, I'm much more aware of things. What do you think is the cause for so much more like awareness and it's just out there in the mainstream? What do you think is causing that?
That's a good question. I think it's a combination of both the things you just mentioned. I think that there's more awareness about these terms, gaslighting, devaluation. This is things that people are empowered by because they have the information of what's happening. Narcissism is very isolating. They immediately try to shame you out of discussing it with friends and family. And so when you are online and you're able to see a community of people who have been through this stuff before, back in the 90s, you might have just called this person a jerk. Now there's terms for it that let you know there is something bigger happening here. This is a disorder of a personality. And I think also, too, society has trended towards rewarding narcissism, rewarding people who have the most followers or are the prettiest, giving them all the money. And so I think that between those two things, certainly it's more prominent nowadays than it might have been in the past.
And be aware, everyone, that there's a section of I'm not quite sure the term I want to use here, Danielle, but there are a type of narcissists that are called covert narcissists. And these people are slick. I mean, you'll never even know it's coming until it's too late. So just take what Danielle's given you and just kind of keep all these little threads in the back of your mind. All right. So why do narcissists try to talk to you in the first place? And the second part of the question is there a way to avoid them? So that's a big question. The first one, why in the heck would they want to talk to you in the first place?
They're trying to get something out of you. Whatever it is, there's an agenda. And it feels like a performance in hindsight. A lot of people who have never been through this, they're giving the person the benefit of the doubt. But when they look at the entire picture, they can see the red flags of their intuition just feeling like this person is disingenuous. This person is not authentic. This person is trying to get something out of me. This person is telling me what I want to hear. Kind of like sitting through a sales pitch of something you're not even wanting in the first place. And so they're talking to you to extract whatever it is they want: time, energy, attention, money, stuff, connections, social status, whatever you can provide them. That's what they're trying to get from you.
Is that where the trauma bond begins?
That is where the trauma bond begins. When you are with a narcissist, you very quickly can become trauma bonded to them, which is a result of the intermittent reinforcement that the narcissist is giving you of love bombing you and then taking that away. And so you get a hit of dopamine as they're being nice to you and giving you all this attention. And then they give you the silent treatment and they gaslight you and they call you names and you get cortisol. You're getting spikes of the fight or flight hormone.
What about the people that just want to dump all of their toxic past on you and they want to share all of the trauma that they've been through and it's never their fault? Did you see that a lot?
Yes, that is trauma dumping. That is something that a covert narcissist is most likely to do. And it's, again, similar to love bombing. It's to build a false sense of intimacy quickly. It's to get you to feel bad for them. If they can gain your sympathy, they're more likely to gain your attention and your generosity. If they can make it seem like they are this perpetual victim by trauma dumping onto you, I came from childhood trauma and everybody attacks me and this happened to me and that happened to me, then you are way more likely to let down your guard, feel sorry for them, and allow their claws to come into your life. And on top of that, anyone who has been through some kind of devastating trauma thing, they're not dumping it onto a person in their first meeting, right? You don't go into a first date and say the worst thing that ever happened to you. So a lot of times when they're trauma dumping, they can steal stories from movies, from their friends, from their actual victims. And if it's not verifiable, then it's very hard to say if the things they're telling you even happened or not. So that's something to really keep in mind.
Just be aware, everybody. These are they're typically very smart people. I mean, they have a playbook and they're kind of a consistency to what their actions is, but there's a playbook and typically they repeat the playbook over and over and over. So is there a way to avoid them? We got about a minute and a half to go before we close this segment. Is there a way to avoid them?
Yeah. So if you're putting up boundaries right away, they can't do anything with you. You can't become trauma bonded to them. If they're trauma dumping onto you and you're saying, listen, this is our third date. This is not something I feel comfortable discussing. Then they have no choice but to discard you and move on to the next person who's going to fall for it, right? So if you're not giving into their sales pitch, if you're not allowing them to force you into some kind of commitment where they can trap you, right? Well, we've only been dating a month, but we should move in together. A lot of people will say, well, maybe this is a big grand romance and I don't really want to say no to them because what if this is my chance at love? And it seems kind of fast, but I'm just going to roll with it. That kind of person is going to become trauma bonded. The narcissist is going to trap you and then things are going to get worse and worse for you. The person putting up boundaries and saying, you're not moving into my house. I don't even know you. I've spent 30 hours with you at this point, right? That person is not able to be love bombed. They're immune to love bombing. They're essentially immune to narcissistic abuse.
That's why, and when we talked about boundaries in the first, and we'll talk about boundaries when we come back again, everybody, I just made to know that. That's why boundaries are so important. Boundaries are important. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with narcissists, if you're dealing with anyone, children, my grandchildren, you have to have established boundaries. Kids like boundaries. Kids like to have that demarcation. It's kind of crazy, but if you can establish those boundaries early on with people, they understand that people have boundaries. That's the thing. They don't understand that there are such things as boundaries, or they like to push them. Danielle Radin's here, mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. This is the Tom Mann Show.
Welcome to the Tom Mann Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. That's my deep radio voice. We're going to go with a deep radio voice on welcome back. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back to that. Mitch and everybody out there, Danielle Radin's our guest today. Love talking to Danielle. I don't like to impose on my guests like a Danielle. I love to have her 3 times a year, but once a year, twice a year is plenty because they're so busy and it keeps it fresh. And so it's nice to see Danielle again. She's our first guest for 2026. Mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. Now, there's toxic people everywhere. You can have toxic people in your life. You can in your family, at work. They're everywhere. But there's also a lot of good people out there, everybody. So don't get caught up in all of the minutia of, oh, there's all these toxic. I just think that the toxic people just get more pub. They get more voice. It's the good people are they don't go around bragging about being a good person. They just do their thing. I mean, so understand, we'll talk about boundaries in a second, but first I want to get Danielle's contact info. If you want to book her for speaking or watch her movie or buy her book, please, Danielle, share all of that. Would you please?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube at Danielle Radin, MMJ. If you need to email me directly for coaching or speaking engagements, my email is danielleradin@gmail.com. I also have a book on Amazon, Navigating Narcissists. And yes, the movie that I mentioned is coming out sometime in the summer. The premiere's in the spring. And I don't know where that'll be available yet, but it's called I Love You, My Narcissist. And it is going to be a eye-opening film from the perspective of a female narcissistic relationship and a male narcissistic relationship.
Ah, where did the theme for this movie come from? Did you come up with this pilot, or was it the director? How does that work?
I was approached by the director and executive producer who wrote the film, and it's based on real life relationships that they had heard of and decided to make a movie about to raise awareness.
Are you going to be like a credited director or a producer of some type? Are you acting in the film?
Yeah, I'm an executive producer, and then they have a series of people commenting, documentary style in the film. So I'm one of them, as well as some other doctors and therapists who have expertise in this area.
You know what I thought of when you're telling me you're describing this thing? I'm thinking of the movie The Secret, where The Secret has all these people in there, and it's just such a great film. And I've watched it several times. And if you haven't seen the movie The Secret, you guys should go watch the movie The Secret, because it's older now, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a universal energy kind of thing, but I like those kind of movies. All right, let's get back into the boundaries, because boundaries is a big thing. That's our next topic. We talked about a little bit earlier, but we finished the previous segment talking about how to avoid the narcissist. And you talked about the boundaries. So let's kind of finish and polish that thread just a tiny bit. Would you please?
Yeah, I mean, boundaries come in handy in every aspect of your life. If you can master putting up boundaries, it makes you a better business person, right? You can be better with customers and clients. It can make you a better romantic partner. It makes you a better parent. It makes you a better family member. Just overall, it's a net positive to be able to unapologetically lay down a firm but kind boundary and say, this is what I'm willing to tolerate and this is what I'm not willing to tolerate.
That's it. I mean, and if you get love bombed, and this can come in different forms where you just get a lot of attention from someone or an inordinate amount of something, energy coming from someone, just something that kind of blows you away. This happens. Believe me, I know all about this. I work with people all the time. They want to become your friend. There's a difference between, right, Danielle? There's a difference between becoming a friend. Like you and I are friends. We're friends. We're colleagues. We talk. We're friends. If you needed something from me, I would help you. If I need something from you, I'd help. Just like I needed a guest and I reached out to you and you immediately got back to me. That's friends. That's established. You already have that demarcation and defined, right? I mean, so with these people, you got to throw this stuff out there. Don't take any of this for granted, right, Danielle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to do something nice for your friends. It's another if somebody is trying to come at you. What is the agenda for them being nice to you? There should not be an agenda for people being nice to each other. It should just be kindness for the sake of kindness, unless you're dealing with a very transactional person that is a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath. Then they are going to want something from you. Hey, I broke my leg. I've been going through a really hard time. You're my friend. By the way, can I have $5,000?
Oh my God. So what's the difference when you talk about the sociopath and the other paths that are out there, all of the clinical terms? What is it? Can you talk about those for a second? Just kind of so people understand that they're in this big cluster. There are all these other little silos. Can you talk about that, please?
There is an umbrella of something called the cluster B personality disorders. And within that are narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and then you have antisocial personality disorder, colloquially known as a sociopath, or the more extreme end of that spectrum is the psychopath. So all psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths.
That's heavy. That's big. So this umbrella, you may be dealing, this is why you might want to read Danielle's book, you guys, or look at her YouTube channel, because her clips, they're very short, they're very to the point, and they're free. So go check them out, because it really is spot on. I mean, all right, so let's move on to this communication. We know that we're dealing with this. We know there's something. Okay, so we've overlooked the red flags. We've turned them into pink flags. Okay, I'm gonna be okay with the pink flag. But no, really, you don't want to be okay. You really want to brighten up that pink flag into really a red flag, because it is what it is. But now that we know all of these things, or we're getting to know these things, and we got some vibes happening in our gut, how do we talk to these people? I mean, there are methods. You're starting to become more aware. The awareness is growing. So please take it from there, Danielle.
I always advise people, if you can get away from a narcissist and go no contact, you should absolutely do that. If you are capable of doing that, that is a luxury. And it will be very tough to break the trauma bond, but it'll just be a short period of time, and then you will go on to live a way more fulfilling life after that.
Is that why you say it's a luxury?
It's a luxury because, unfortunately, a lot of people have to co-parent with narcissists, so they have to talk to them. They're their coworker, so they have to engage with them. Maybe they're their mother-in-law. Maybe it's somebody in their family. Maybe it's somebody that you're still getting a divorce and it's taking months. You're still financially entwined and you have to speak to this person. In that case, you have to talk to them. And that's where the gray rock method comes in.
And the gray rock method is just sort of, you kind of back off a little bit. I mean, you sort of, you don't let I like to think of it being emotionally intelligent, Danielle. We don't let them push our buttons. I think that, and you correct me, you're the expert here. I'm just kind of feeding off this, but it seems like they're good button pushers. I mean, they're manipulators. These people manipulate you into doing things. They push your buttons and to get the results. Is that a good analogy?
Yes, that is a really good analogy. They're obsessed with that. They're obsessed with power and control. And if they can control your emotions, they feel powerful. And they will continuously try to get emotional reactions out of you for as long as you know them. And the gray rock method is just taking the emotion out of it so that they are more likely to get bored and leave you alone. The best you can hope for if a narcissist has to be in your life is that they're leaving you alone. So if I was holding a gray rock in my hand, I would say, this is boring. This doesn't do anything. I yell at it and it just doesn't respond. It's just a boring gray rock. And that's essentially what you have to do. You have to take your emotions out of it when you're talking to a narcissist. If you're co-parents, you're just keeping it strictly to the kids. That's all you have in common at this point. There's no reason to get caught up in, maybe we should get back together. And by the way, I have this new partner and they're better than you. That's irrelevant. All you say, if you're going over 2 sentences, 3 sentences while you're gray rocking, you're doing too much. It should be, I'm picking up the kids Wednesday at 5 p.m. Our daughter has soccer practice, and that's it. That's it. You don't engage emotions. You don't give them emotional currency that they can use against you like a weapon. You act unbothered. Now, that doesn't mean that you shut off your emotions like a robot. You still have emotions and you can go process those later on your own. It's just that you have to present like you don't care and you're unemotional so that they don't continue to manipulate you.
I'm going to come back to this one, everybody, because we're going to go to break here. Danielle Radin's here. Mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy from toxic people. Specifically, we're talking about narcissism, but in the whole umbrella cluster, as Danielle was talking about. But I want to come back and we're going to spend a little bit more time on emotions and emotional intelligence, because you may feel like you got dirty and you're feeling bad about it. We got to bring ourselves up and understand. Danielle will help us understand all of this by getting our emotions in check. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to segment 5 of the Tom Matt Show. If you're hearing this segment, typically you're getting the podcast and or on some of our radio stations that carry all 5 segments, you're getting the 5th segment. So thank you for listening, especially our listeners at WKAR AM 870, the big blowtorch out at Michigan State University. Thank you guys so much for carrying us over there. And thank you to WJAM and WVFN for carrying us on weekends within the Michigan Talk Network through Steve and Ivy Gruber. We appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you for doing that. Danielle Radin's back. I'm not going to have her as an annual guest. I want to have her as a semi-annual guest or something like that, because this topic of narcissism and these personality disorders are getting to be, well, because I think we're more educated, right, Danielle? That's why we were talking about, like in the 90s, we just called people jerks or a-holes or whatever. It's now there's actually like the mental health and all of that understanding and education that we have now, right?
Yeah, I think that it's important for people to know that narcissistic personality disorder is incurable and there's no chance of this person changing long term, because I think that people get stuck in these relationships. They hold out hope that maybe they're going to be different. And if someone is just a jerk, that means that there's room for change and development in the future. Not the case with a narcissist. It's just going to be this for as long as you know them.
I meant to get your contact info one more time, and I forgot to do that. Let's do that right here again. We got it in the previous segment, but please share that YouTube and everything else. How do you want people to connect with you?
I have a YouTube channel that I post daily videos on. That's at Danielle Radin, MMJ. I have a book, Navigating Narcissists, available on Amazon in audiobook, paperback, ebook, and hard copy. And I have a TikTok account, which is at Danielle Radin.
Yeah, a lot of people on TikTok, as a matter of fact. I just looked at that. I was like, holy cow, she's doing really well. I got a question for you now, because we're still talking about the communication and the emotions. And I want to cover this pretty strongly. With men are considered fixers from what I've read and studied and talked to people. And women are more on the maternal side of things. They're fixers in their own way as well. So when you have a female who is involved with a male who is a narcissist, she will probably put her whole life, guts, soul into trying to fix that person. Same thing with the man, but the women, I think it becomes more of an emotional bond. Do you think that's correct?
Yeah, I think that that's a really good observation. Narcissists get the furthest with people who are very empathetic, very kind, very patient, very loving, the ride or dies, no person left behind on my squad kind of mentality. This is the people who, unfortunately, they can take all their best traits about them and twist against them the most to continue to manipulate them to the point where they're empty shells of their former selves. I see it happen all the time. And with covert female narcissists, they are very, very good at playing the damsel in distress through trauma dumping and guilt trips and the perpetual victim narrative. And a lot of men, they want to be her knight. They cater to that knight complex of, I'm going to save you. I'm going to be your hero. And before you know it, she's driving him into bankruptcy or taking away his children from him or whatever it is. And so, again, if you're not putting up strong, unapologetic boundaries with everybody in your life, then a narcissist is going to walk all over you like a doormat and potentially destroy your life.
So then emotionally, you could be a complete wreck. I mean, you may come out of this just half yourself, as you're saying. Part of your personality has been taken, because I think that from what I've learned, some of these narcissists, they love, because they're so empty inside, they love to steal your energy and they love to steal your persona. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. They're so obsessed with controlling you that you essentially have to live your life in a coffin in order to be with a narcissist. They isolate you from everything that they love. They want your attention 24/7. They are gaslighting you into thinking that this is all you deserve and you're helpless and hopeless and you need them. And if you leave them, then everything's going to go wrong for you. And pretty soon the person just gets brainwashed into having this person control what they think, what they feel, what they eat, what they do. I've had clients come out of these relationships. They can't remember their favorite color. They can't remember who they used to be before this relationship. They're just in such a fight or flight response, right? You have fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. A lot of people go into a freeze response when they're in survival mode from a narcissistically abusive relationship, where they're just so frozen that they don't even know what to do with themselves.
See, the thing is, everybody, especially with the emotions, narcissists are really good at getting secrets out of you. So you may give them some of your emotional baggage, and then what happens, Danielle? Because you've opened up. Now you're the empath. You're the empath that wants to help them, but they figured out a way to get in, and and they're just really good manipulators and finding out your secrets. Why do they do this?
They use what you tell them against you. They use it as a blueprint to trick you. And that's why this is a very tailored kind of trauma. It's tailored specifically to you. Nobody thinks before getting into this that they would ever get into a narcissistic relationship. They're like, I know people and I wouldn't fall for it. But this is tailored specifically to you. They switch up their tactics. It's a chess game. And you didn't even know you were playing a game. You just thought you were opening up. You thought that this was somebody with good intentions like you. Why would you think otherwise? You've met nothing but good intentioned people up until this point. Well, they will systematically gaslight you so much, and you're so confused that pretty much everyone who comes to me for counseling, the first question they ask is, am I the narcissist? I'm confused about if they were the abusive one or if I was the abusive one, because narcissists will throw that label in your face. They'll call you a narcissist if you say no to them. If you have a thought that's different from theirs, they explode into a rage. If you tell them, hey, I have photographic proof that you cheated on me, they'll just gaslight you. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's not what you're seeing in the Ring camera. And before you know it, you can't trust your own judgment. That's a very dangerous place for you to be, to have your perception of reality in the hands of your abuser.
It's crazy, and it's almost evil. It's very close to being so evil. I'll tell you, it's just crazy. I had some thoughts in my head, and I get so many things I want to think about with this stuff. Stealing the personality is something. I mean, they will come in, and as your emotions start to wane, everybody, they'll know it. They'll pick up on it. That's when your devaluation starts kicking in and your discard. And this is the setup, because when you go through these steps, like Danielle's told us with the love bombing, the devaluation, the discard, this is where the discard and the reverse discard become so powerful. And then, boom, you're almost healed. And then what happens, Danielle? The Hoover.
Back into your life. And that's why it takes an average of 7 to 10 times to get out of an abusive relationship.
Unbelievable.
They are very, very convincing. I'm sorry. I'm going to get into therapy. I can see that it was wrong to abuse you. Blarty, blarty, blar. They just trick you using the same techniques that worked on you in the beginning.
She is Danielle Radin. We're calling this one Mental Health in the New Year, How to Preserve Your Energy from Toxic People. Got about 3 minutes to go before we wrap this bad boy. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes for a takeaway and a close. Ms. Radin, please. Thank you so much for being with us, by the way. You're wonderful. And this topic is so huge. I wanted to ask you real quick, though, before we go into your takeaway, maybe you can weave this into your takeaway, that what is gaslighting? Because I think people know what it is, but they don't. And you hear it a lot, and you've mentioned it a few times. So would you throw that into your close, please?
Gaslighting consists of two parts in order to be effective. First, the person has to tell a lie. So if you say, hey, why'd you get home at midnight? And they say, I didn't. I got home at 10 p.m. That's just a lie at that point. Where gaslighting comes in is the second part, where they try to make you question your perception of events. So they'll say, I didn't get in at midnight. I got in at 10 p.m., but you've been really tired lately. You've been getting the time wrong so much. You need to be on medication. Your meds are kind of making you loopy, right? So they will do this over and over again. If you're justified in being mad about something, they'll say you're being dramatic when you're not. They'll say you're an impossible person to deal with. This view that you have is wrong, and that's because you don't have the intelligence like I do to see it the way that it is, right? So when they're doing that over and over again, it makes the person say, this person knows me better than anyone in the world, so maybe I have been wrong. And the minute they start thinking that way, that's when the gaslighting is effectively brainwashing the person into staying and being confused.
If that wasn't a good close for not being a close, that was a great close, because this is the playbook, everybody. They will make you believe that you're going a little crazy, that your perception is wrong, that what you're seeing is wrong, and you're wrong when you're actually right. And that's what you have to deal with. Danielle Radin, she's the bomb. Mental health in the new year, how to preserve your energy. How to preserve your energy from toxic people. There's so many toxic people out there. Danielle Radin is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and 9-time author, certified domestic violence counselor, founder of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Center. I will have her contact information in the recap. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our contacts and our guests. Thanks to Danielle for being with us, Sandy, Brock, Fletcher, everyone that helps support the show. We will talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thank you again to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. The Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for listening. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music and the source of light and power by the Ark of All.